That big story tonight, a CBS 42 News exclusive. For the first time, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall is addressing taking over the case of a convicted sex offender in Fayette County. Good evening, I'm Carly Lang.
I'm Sherry Jackson. It comes after community outrage following a judge's order placing Timothy Benton on house arrest just 5 years into a 17-year sentence. In 2017, a grand jury indicted Benton on 48 counts ranging from sodomy of a child from 12 to 16 years old to human trafficking. In 2019, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of sodomy in a plea deal and was sentenced to 17 years in prison. A judge modified that sentence, placing Benton into the Community Corrections Program. Families of Benton's victims say they were not notified of the modified sentence.
CBS 42's Scott Minshaw sat down with Marshall to find out how his office plans to prosecute the case. He joins us now in our newsroom with details. Scott, what did Marshall have to say about it?
Well, Carly, Attorney General Marshall says his office is still working to learn how Timothy Benton was placed into the Community Corrections Program. He did tell me that his office's goal is clear: put Benton back behind bars.
Protest in Fayette County sparked by a modification to Timothy Vess Benton's prison sentence. Now, Attorney General Steve Marshall is weighing in.
We'll be asking the judge to revoke the order that he issued previously and send him back to the custody of the Department of Corrections.
Last month, Benton was put in the Community Corrections Program, which Marshall says was designed for low-level offenders.
A situation where somebody has addiction issues or other concerns in which there's a need for ongoing supervision and monitoring and referral, but it is designed to be the vehicle that's one step short of sending someone to prison.
Marshall says that decision was made by Judge Samuel Junkin. Junkin previously refused to answer my questions about his decision.
Why did you modify the order in the Benton case? Judge, don't you think the victims' families deserve an answer as to why that order was modified?
Is this a misuse of the Community Corrections Program?
You know, I don't know enough of the circumstances as to why, or the circumstances as to the crime itself. I would tell you that I would have strong objections, and I think we've seen that from the local DA on record to the modification of the sentence, because the local prosecutor's office was fully aware of all of the facts that related to that initial 48-count indictment for which there was the plea agreement. And so I think local law enforcement and prosecutors clearly objected to what the judge did, and I think that should reflect the concern of the community as to what was going on.
Many in Fayette County are also raising concerns about this order from Judge Junkin that allows Benton to visit his family's beach house in Gulf Shores.
Does that strike you as odd that this convicted sex offender would be allowed to go down to Gulf Shores to his parents' beach house?
I do think a travel to a beach house is unusual for many other orders that I've seen in the past, and particularly understanding that there are additional requirements on a sex offender that doesn't exist for somebody else.
The family of one of Benton's victims told me they were not notified of the change to his prison sentence. Here's Marshall's response.
So I think it's an opportunity for us to be able to get the law right, but still, I think as a practical matter, the victim should have been notified of what was going on here and had that notice.
Marshall says the goal for his office is clear.
And that's to revoke his privilege of being in community corrections and put him back in prison.
Marshall says the next step in this case is the charge will go before a grand jury, and they will decide whether Benton will face a charge for the SORNA violation he was arrested for last week. Now, I reached out to Benton's attorney for comment, but have not heard back at this time. In the newsroom, Scott Minshaw, CBS 42 News.